Hey everybody, Parquet here again with more Gran Turismo 7 for you. This week we are in Naughty Racing League Round 2 at Suzuka, specifically the Suzuka East Course. Going to be seeing a lot of the S's of Suzuka. And this is my final flying lap during the qualifying session. Currently sitting in P6 right now, and all the little sparkly things you're seeing on the screen, that's the rain falling. We got rain on due to the dynamic weather conditions as I'm finishing up the S's here. Currently sitting at a 55 flat, 2/10 down through sector 2. Everything looking good up to this point, and let's see how I finish it up. Ultimately got a nice P3. Qualifying was going to be crucial, especially with these cars being as close to the front as possible. From watching the Friday night races, I realized that really the top 3 were probably going to be able to break away, and everybody else was going to unfortunately have to fight a bit too hard and lose a bit too much time to be competitive. This was originally a 3-horse race until Zilla kind of understeers off and turns it into a 2-horse race for me and Cyrus. And honestly, at this point, I was fine settling into following Cyrus all afternoon and, kind of settling for P2. Cyrus, if you're watching this, shout out to you, my friend. This was a great race. But me and Cyrus practiced for a little bit before the NRL lobbies opened up, and I left those lobbies feeling like he was definitely the faster driver, and that even, proved itself out in qualifying. Even though, it was just a 1/10 of a difference, that 1/10 is a lot. Or at least it felt like a lot for me, because me getting my times in the sub 55 range, I felt like I was kind of maxing out what I could do with the kart. And you can see my fastest lap right now is like this 54.7. I want to say Cyrus did maybe a 54.4 in those practice sessions. So I didn't think I was going to be able to catch him, but that was until this moment here going into T1 that I was able to close the gap a little bit and actually take the lead. So now being in the lead, knowing I have a faster driver behind me, I decided to try to put on a defensive driving masterclass like I had never done before. It's lap 7 at this point, so if everything goes to plan, I will be defending for the next whatever 25 minus 7 is. Somebody pop that into the calculator for me and leave the answer in the comment. But I was going to try to lead the race for as long as I could and keep Cyrus behind me for as long as I could. Coming into T1 here on lap 10, we're actually going to hop on board to see Cyrus's point of view of how I was looking, and you can see there I'm just hugging that apex as close as I can for dear life, trying to keep Cyrus off the fast line. Honestly, defensive driving, you really want to try to make your vehicle seem as wide as possible. This is a very wide track already, but you really got to try to force the issue in terms of positioning and such on the racing line. Here on lap 11, Cyrus was able to get the jump on me out of that final corner. That final corner was very weak for me, and he was able to use the overspeed to get a move done. But I knew, again, I felt really hot going into T1. I felt like T1 was where I could really cook, and again, knowing that he was faster, I didn't want him to ever get the chance to hang a gap on me and drive away. So I followed around and was able to keep the lead and defend again through the S's. I was able to keep that lead up until this moment, end of lap 12, beginning of lap 13. This was actually one of my better exits out of the final turn. You can see I ended with a 54.8 there, but again, Cyrus is on a heater of his own with that 54.5, and because of that, able to get a good little amount of speed into T1, but actually decides to settle in this time around, and maybe just he probably got the message that I was going to fight for my life at every opportunity. So I'm sure he started maybe playing a longer, more calculated and nuanced game than I was at that point. Here around the end of lap 13, I was able to hang about a 3/10 margin on him, which is actually perfect for him in terms of where he would probably want to be with the slipstream. And again, here, able to stick right on my back going into T1, probably had a chance there. And going into T2 and 3 here, gets a little bit creative, going really wide, trying to make himself seem, or probably just trying to avoid me, honestly. But again, you can see I am my number one plan, being 9/10 down. Hit the apex as much as I can, make him go the long way around, and see where it ends up on lap 25. I was okay fighting this much. Let's talk about that. I was okay fighting this much because the gap from us and everybody behind us was just too large for them to be able to overcome, especially with the pace we were going. I knew that I was only a 10th off of his fastest lap, so nobody else was really going to be closing the gap on us too drastically. So again, the 2-horse race effect was really on my mind. I was happy to burn as much time as I could to try to, again, keep him in arm's length. Looking back on it, today I'm recording this part of the video on the Sunday after the NRL round completed. I feel like this strategy put me in the best position to win. And even position to win aside, this strategy was the most fun I've had racing on Gran Turismo in some months now, honestly. Being able to, fully trust the person you're racing with to have clean wheel-to-wheel action. Like, what else could you really ask for, right? So again, Cyrus, shout out to you, my friend. McNaughty and production team, shout out to y'all for putting this on as Cyrus takes me up the inside. Shout out to the whole community for embracing me, allowing me to take part in this. This is my first time again, and it's been a blast. I even got a fan club yesterday, popping a donation in the chat. Shout out to the Parquet Racing fan club. I love you, and I hope to continue creating connections and memories with you all, because that's really what this is all about. Shout out to Yapping Gamer Dad. Sup, dude? Jumping back on board, beginning of the S's on the 20th time of asking, and you can see here Cyrus really just putting the rubber on the road, getting this gap up. My whole thing at this point was to try to take as much advantage of the slipstream as I possibly could, but getting a poor exit out of here, you really want to try to stay at a minimum speed of 71 miles going through that final turn. I wasn't able to do that there, and because of that, Cyrus at this point was able to get about a half a second lead on me. Luckily for me, he goes a bit wide there, and that allows me to close the gap a little bit more and settle into his slipstream, and actually kiss the back of his bumper there, or get close to kissing it before pulling out to the inside. And here we going through a little bit of a role reversal. I was able to stick pretty close to the apex there, but he was able to carry the speed around the outside, and I wasn't able to make that overtake attempt stick. He was able to keep his position through the S's here, and you can just see the rotation he's getting as we head towards the final corner. And here is where our friend Netcode starts to make an appearance. Do 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 do. I'll put in the actual little, YouTube short sound if I ever find it and figure out how to upload, custom sounds. But yeah, he disappeared on my screen, which made me become more cognizant of where I was actually positioning myself on the track. Coming into turn one, we'll see here. This is a nice little cool view from the shoulder. I thought he actually made a big mistake and was going to spin off onto the grass, but again, I think the netcode just pushed him wide and showed him being a bit wider on my end than he actually was. I hope I wasn't hitting you or being more physical than I thought I was being during the race, Cyrus, if you make it this far. If so, this is what was going down on my side. And again, here Cyrus goes a bit wide. Netcode kind of jumping him around a little bit, but he actually got enough dirt on his tires to allow me back into P1, which I was very happy about. I was also kind of a nervous wreck at this point, trying to keep the lead for another about lap and a half here. Cyrus is right on my tailpipe. If you look at the map here, you don't even see two different triangles. That's just how close the margins were on this afternoon. And coming through the end of lap 24, it is officially, you guessed it, winning time, lap 25, final straight. Unfortunately, this race for me ended a lot further away from the finish line than I would have liked it to, as we ripped down the main straight for the final time of asking. I'm coming down into T1, and I just have a brain for it, honestly. I don't close off the inside and hit the apex like I've been wanting to. I think the netcode, actually I think the netcode, I know the netcode kind of interfered with us a bit there. I went back and watched the live stream, and there was no contact from the broadcasters, and I'm sure Cyrus's point of view, so I didn't close the door. He was able to take home P1. Last look at the move from my perspective, bit of contact, but again, netcode looking at the stream, no contact, clean move. Good job, Cyrus. I'll see y'all next week in the next one. Goodbye. Hello, post-credit scene. Wanted to share Division B overall standings with y'all before we got out of here. Currently P3, Cyrus P1, tied with Racer 51 for P1. Last round will be this Saturday before the championship. Goodbye for real this time. Be safe.